Hello, welcome to the Discard Pile. I'm your host, John Corbett. Welcome to our mid-season finale, the Great Insurrection Debate. Joining us a little bit late is Kevin Jaeger. Welcome, Kevin.
Glad to be here.
Where are you doing this interview from the moon? Where are you? Why do you sound like you're 10,000 feet below the ocean?
Is this better for you?
That's definitely not. Let's back up the camera. This isn't Road to Worlds where everybody does the interview like this. That's what that Road to Worlds podcast is four fat white guys with big Irish heads this close. I don't know why they do that, but it's ironic because I've spent this afternoon watching 5 hours of World Wars on History Channel, and now we're making peace. So Kevin's my first Minnesota Wastelander, I believe, to come on the show. So that's today's a historic moment. My other guest is Nate Weininger. Welcome, Nate.
Thanks for having me. I think Mike was on here before, so you've had some Minnesota guys here before.
Oh no, Mike has always been.
Mike doesn't count.
No, we've never had. Me and Mike have always been buddies. Mike understands how the business works. So he never took Killer B seriously. So unlike most shows, I don't have anything prepared. We're just gonna wing it. So where do we start with Insurrection? I'm the man guilty of this card. It was purely a Killer B design, unofficially before I was on the design team. So, I mean, where do we begin? Kevin, you'll be the plaintiff. You're the lawyer, as you love to mention back in the day during our wars. so as the plaintiff, the prosecution, start your case.
Well, Your Honor, what I am going to show, ladies and gentlemen of the jury today, is that while the intention of insurrection was okay, and that the state believes that what the attempt that was made by the design team, and yourself in particular, was in the right place, the intention was in the right place, but you know what I'm going to argue is that the execution and the final product is not where the card should have ended up.
Okay, well, number one, you can cut out the horseshit lawyer talk. I'm not the judge. There's no jury. This is just.
You're just the executioner.
This is just angry. This is just angry nerds bitching about stuff. So the intention. So let's go with what you said is the intention of the card. The intention of the card was to curtail the use of easy missions. Now, easy mission is anything that's 31 or below. People thought it was an arbitrary number. It was not. It's real simple. 8 times 4 is 32. The theory behind the card is that no mission should be done by 4 people without the assistance of some sort of cheater. So that's the intention of the card. So how did it miss the mark?
Well, first off, the first hole in your math is that there are plenty of affiliations who can do a mission that's 32 with 4 people because there are plenty of strength 9 and 10 people in the game. There are plenty of
that's excessive. That's what androids and maybe what you gotta get 4 9 Jem'Hadar. That's pretty hard. So that's 1%.
You only need 9.
3 8s and a 9. Tazarakesh times 3 in a Metacon will solve Survey New World.
All right, so those are extreme situations. Okay, so let's get back to reality. All right, so how did it miss the mark?
Well, it missed the mark in the sense that your intention. This is my understanding of what it is that you're saying. That you're saying that if it's less than 32, it's a problem. So by your own admission,
it's not a problem. It's an easy mission. It's just easy. It's too easy, and that's what the game had too much of.
Math. We're talking about the math here, and you said that missions that are less than 32 are the problem. So therefore, the solution should be to make them 32. You didn't make them 32. You made them essentially 20, 35, 37, 39, 40, 41 when you put your card on there. And I think that your card should have been the intent that a perfect marriage of design and contention and function would have been to make a card that turns the easy message and makes them fair. And then you would have been able to not only create a card that people would use for that reason, but then they wouldn't necessarily feel that it's a bad card because you then would not have had to put the restriction of, it goes underneath the next mission for them. You could have designed a dilemma that said, all requirements on this mission are now 32. And then when this mission's complete, this dilemma is overcome. And then you would be able to design a dilemma that plays into things like the Mannheim effect and Dr. McCoy, and then that dilemma could have been bounced naturally and had that be something where you could hammer them across the table as the game goes along. And you'd have been way more effective than what you would have come out with.
I think I was effective. I always think I was effective in making people play different missions, which was.
I don't think it has, because I still see the Maquis, investigate Maquis activity. I still see that Cardassian Kursari, and then you still see the same 4 easiest missions in the game being used all the time.
I used to see Survey New World 4 times a week every tournament. Now I rarely see it. Kursari I've seen splashed. I don't know. From my point of view, I've seen less. I've seen less of them. I mean, I don't know how each meta is different.
Well, John, let me ask you a question. If you're talking about math, right? So the game goes to 100 points. Typically, you go 35 points, 35 points, 30 points to get your 100 points. Now, most 30, where do you put the attribute requirement on 30-point missions to make everything fair? If you look at 30-point missions kind of across the board, most of them don't have attribute requirements greater than 32. They're all, even the ones that you'd think that are pretty fair are in the 30s, 28s, maybe. Where's the place of those missions in the game with Insurrection?
What missions that are
just 30-point mission, 30-point fair, a 30-point mission that's.
Well, as you've seen recently.
No special game text. Just you score 30 points when you have 3 skills and attributes more than 30.
You've seen a couple of new missions that have been 32 that are printed 32 with that reasoning in mind. So what's that? I would say that's the baseline. 30 points, 32 for attribute requirement.
But what about the I guess the past missions that are out there that are those 30s? Are those just even the ones that aren't even the ones that kind of don't fall in the red flag category like Kursari and those other ones?
I mean, we have to accept to a certain degree that all missions aren't created equally. They're all different, and I mean, what's wrong with that?
Well, the problem is though is that your dilemma basically unfairly hits the ones that have some additional design to make them fair. There are 30-point missions out there that require 4 different skills and attribute greater than 30, and then we're tagged with an additional range to make them balanced. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that every mission has to be the same, but you're arguing that every mission should almost have to be the same then, because it should have to meet a baseline requirement, which
there has to be a danger to playing easy missions. There's a risk. That's all that card did.
Well, but the thing is, though, is that, like we said, we still see people play easy missions, and they still do them, and they still get around them, and they still basically hammer their way through them first. They just choose not to do them last. Yeah. I mean, that's not really dangerous in my mind.
And it's just it hurts easy missions, but the easiest missions are still very popular. So, the ones that are where the major issues before this are still. Like Kevin was saying earlier, they're still all around. I mean, maybe Survey the World is the one card the one mission that's gone because that has a pretty negative consequence if you miss it. But all the other ones, like the 25 integrity ones, the Maquis activity, those aren't going anywhere. I mean, and those ones are still really popular.
Well, that's always.
I think it just hurts.
There's always going to be investigate Maquis activity because even when Insurrection, it turns into a 42 or whatever. I forget what it is offhand. What's the permanent on? Investigate Maquis.
So yeah, all right. 37.
Yeah, but there's an affiliation with printed 10s. So there's always going to be that. It's not going to take that away, but at least there's something. At least there's a defense for it to some degree. I mean, yeah, it's not going to take it away completely, but that's of course not. We didn't errata investigate Maquis. We just put a dilemma in the game that can it can counter it a little bit. So I don't understand what you want to keep. You're arguing that you want to keep easy missions in the game, and but then you're complaining about that they're not out of the game completely. So I mean that doesn't make any sense to me.
The problem we're having is that the other slightly less easy missions are now they're the ones that are out of the game.
Yeah, so my response to that, and I don't mean this in a personal way, but fuck your 31 tribute missions. Fuck them, and they're stupid fucking asses. They're cheap and stupid, and that's fine. You can still play them. Hell, I just played a deck with them, but you just got to deal with it. Turning a 31 integrity mission into a 41 when I still have 8 integrity guys turns it from an easy mission into a normal difficult mission. That's all. So all I did was, all right, I tried to do something cheap, and now you made it normal. I don't see the big problem with that.
So I got a question. So there's I'm looking at the most recent set, right? So there was a 30-point Gamma Quadrant integrity mission that has integrity greater than 30. It's this Parada 2 exposed security threat. And I see that and I think, those are some good skills for a DS9 build. It's in the Gamma Quadrant, so it opens up some possibilities. It's got some extra points it can score if I do something cool with my discard pile. But then I see integrity greater than 30, and I think to myself, man, if I had a higher integrity route, I would prefer it than what it is, just because.
So
I'm worried about hitting that last mission and being stuck there for the rest of the game.
So Nate, you have to make a choice now. Is that what you're saying? You have to make a choice, and there's a gamble.
No, I don't, because there's not very many good Gamma Quadrant missions.
Well, that's true. That's a separate problem altogether, and I agree we need better Gamma Quadrant missions, but that's a whole different problem.
Well, I tried.
No, I think it's. I do like the mission. I just think that's one thing that that's a problem. That's gonna be a problem for every kind of mission going forward. Is if it's not greater than 32, it's always gonna be like, well, what if this gets hit by Insurrection? Am I gonna sit here the rest of the game and twiddle my thumbs while my opponent, does whatever he wants at his greater than 32 missions, which aren't that much harder.
And it was that strain of thought, Nate, that was part of the reason why we made self-replicating roadblocks, was because the offensive player would sit there and go, God, I just don't even know if I can even play with this mission because I could lose those 2 precious turns, and while that's a risk, I should have weapons against it.
Kevin, you're
kind of going in and out.
Kevin, number one, Kevin, you're going off the deep end. No one can understand a word.
I think he's rocking too hard on his chair. He's in and out of the microphone.
Kevin, sit up and give this debate the fucking respect it deserves, goddammit. Fucking sitting back, all fat in the chair. Come on, man. But so here we are. So Insurrection came out. That was a response to easy missions. And then the last set that you were on, Kevin, your card has created a spark of controversy, self-replicating roadblock, which I think I'm getting a lot more. It's on the watch list only because other people have nominated for it. So it's just interesting. It's the exact same thing happened to Insurrection. After Insurrection came out, it went on the watch list because there was so much heat around it. I personally, I think it should be unique. But other than that, I have no problem with the game text on the card. So isn't that a design solution? Like we said, there's choices and there's gambles. So now that there's a solution, there's already a solution for Insurrection. There's how I saw someone played Tell against me and got around Insurrection. So there's plenty. There's already design solutions for Insurrection, and now you design another one. So my question isn't that where we're at now? Isn't the game exactly where it should be?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. I think now we finally have gotten it to where it should be. Like I said, though, I'm not going to sit here and pound the table as hard as I can and demand, that Insurrection be errated right now, because I think we do need to give it time to figure out whether or not all the weapons that are out there against it are making the game balanced again. Because here's the thing: the bigger picture of the game is that there's a perception that it has slowed down. There's a perception that control decks have a distinct advantage. The games are going to time because of it, and that offensive players, when they get to match play or McIntyre bracket, are at a significant disadvantage. And so, with Insurrection out there and some other cards that are out there, we wanted a generalized weapon that offensive players can use to outgame their opponent. Because a great player can read an opponent's deck, read the situation, and play self-replicating roadblock on a mission, anticipate what their worst enemy is in the here and the now. The self-replicating roadblock doesn't do jack if you draw it and don't play it right. same with Insurrection. If you don't draw it and play it at the right time, it doesn't do anything. Same with every card in the game. So like I said, my problem with Insurrection has always been that I don't think it hits the mark with what it's doing. I don't really have much of a problem with it now, and I'm not going to call for it dead anymore because of the fact that I think we have enough stuff for it.
So you're trying to just say you solved the problem with self-replicating roadblock?
I think that we got the problem to the point where it was solved enough.
Okay, but my point is, I think there's way more collateral damage with self-replicating roadblock than there was with Insurrection.
I'll ask you something about self-replicating roadblock then, because Charlie's been on this big rant about how there needs to be there can be power cards, but they need to be affiliation specific. If you wanted to make a couple. If you wanted to make a couple affiliations offensive, right? You could think about Federation or Bajoran would be offensive, I guess. Why isn't that card affiliation specific, which would kind of get around the issue it has with Genesis Effect? It's kind of a cheaper, non-unique version of Genesis Effect. If you make it affiliation specific, you can say, yeah, any affiliation can use Genesis Effect, but now self-replicating roadblock is, maybe, Federation or Bajoran.
So what Nate is trying to say is, why is Charlie full of shit? He's on this kick about affiliation themed, and then in the first set of Phase 2, here's a generic bland card to just straight up blank a dilemma. So there you go, Kevin. Answer the question. Why is Charlie full of shit?
Charlie is not full of shit. That ability, because it is on Genesis Effect, was deemed to be not affiliation tied in any way. And therefore, we wanted to continue the theme of it not being affiliation tied. It's why we didn't make it specific to one affiliation, and we didn't want to handicap it. We didn't want to sit there and put 5, 6 different cards that do roughly the exact same thing in slightly different ways in a set, when the sets are smaller now and we have precious card slots, when the exact same ability is essentially out there on a generic card anyway, so we didn't really want to yet. So we didn't feel that there was enough there to tie the card to affiliation.
I would agree with most of what you said, except for the phrase "precious card slots," because we've seen some wasted horse shit lately, and I'm gonna try my best not to mention that fucking hologram. But after that card, we have. I think we should make less. I think every set should be 45 cards. We should go back to the original. Go back to the Constitution. I'm gonna start the Trek Tea Party where we go back to the original plan of 45 cards that lasted one set. Maybe was the first set even 45? The first virtual set. It was probably 54. But,
oh man.
So whatever. Our plan never stuck, and then it all fell to shit. So I don't know about Precious anymore. There's always
Undiscovered Country.
Yeah, I don't think that was even 45 cards, because the original blueprint was 45 card sets on a semi-regular basis, and then right away it was, let's make a double set, and that double set was a pile of monkey shit. But we're going into the past. This debate's all about the future. So we've all agreed that it is what it is now. Is that what the consensus is? Insurrection's there, Roadblock's there. So like I said last night on Section 31, people just gotta fucking deal with it. Is that what we've come to the conclusion?
So I got a couple critiques about Insurrection, John. Since you're kind of the same boat that I am, the wall of text is bad for business. If you look at this Insurrection, doesn't it just scream wall of text? I feel like it just hits me in the face and
yes, because that last
the table.
Well, that's of course. It's not like I wrote the card and it put it right in the game. I just was like, this is an issue we should address in the game. And it went through the ringer and playtesting.
Yeah.
So that
the design made it so that you could stack them on top of each other. And
I made that so but it would stack and stay on. So that would just work for one mission. But going under, that was a trade-off. It goes underneath the next mission and.
Well, explain to me the dilemma is cost minus +1 thing. That's one thing I've.
So it can't get to
I've never had an issue where I've drawn that and been like, oh crap, I wish this was.
No, that's just so Reagan and Dinatra
cost rather than one cost. I totally don't get that sentence there.
Well, at that time when that card's coming out, Reagan and Dinatra were running wild, so it couldn't cost one. It couldn't cost one and not require a skill. It would just get eaten up.
But why is that just 0? Why isn't it just 0? Why is the +1 there?
That's what Charlie said it cost it. That's I don't know. He's the boss man. He's got the holy. There's a chart. I don't know if Kevin's seen it. I don't think it fucking exists. I think it's like the Golden Fort Knox, the holy decipher costing chart where Charlie apparently has some system, but no designer's ever fucking seen it. I think the Emperor wears no clothes in this situation. Oh, I'll have to get Charlie one day and find out where this holy Brad decipher. It's probably in Brad's house underneath his mattress with the rest of his German midget porn. Whatever he keeps out there, but
actually, I would put money it's actually Brad's tramp stamp tattoo. Actually, the costing chart on his back and
Warren Holland tattooed it on the back of Brad's back. It's like national treasure, so it never goes away.
Oh man!
It's like the outer world where the key to everything was the tattoo on the kid's back. So yeah.
Even if there is a costing chart, it's probably that's from the original. I mean, I've seen some other stuff in design. There's like the integrity, the rules for there's some. I mean, that's the blueprint when Brad and whoever the fuck designed Evan, I think was 2E. That was the early days. So.
But the thing is, though, that costing chart has changed over time, and we know that because there used to be the card.
God damn it, Kevin, you're bringing down the production quality of my show to Section 31 level, and I don't. You gotta get a microphone. You look like a nerd. It's okay, I wear a headset. I look like a fucking retard, but at least you can hear me. But
Skype. My tablet hates cheap Google Plus, and it hates Skype. It hates both of these. But so do the best I can here.
So what would you say to all the people still rallying, and now people are putting up dream cards for Insurrection, and the perfect world, like we're not going back in fucking time. There's no fucking time machine. So I mean, can we just get to the point in this debate? Can we just end with it like it is what it is now? We're going to accept it for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I think the debate pretty much is over because I think, like I said, we've gotten to a point where we have enough weapons, we have enough gamesmanship in the game now where it's not the big deal it used to be.
Yeah, and I say the same things to people who cry about Gum 2 and Issue of Trust and stuff like that. It's like it's way too long. We're past it.
You think that most people would be loving me for making self-replicating roadblocks because an issue of trust killing so many affiliations was one of the arguments for why we needed to make self-replicating roadblocks. Whether we needed a gamesmanship part for friggin' Equinox to be able to deal with it. So.
All right, Nate. You're gonna have to contribute something to the show because I can't bear listen to Kevin anymore. It's kind of like it's like on the boards back in the day where we used to battle each other.
Yeah,
Welcome to the Breen podcast starring Kevin. We're fucking. All right, so.
I think I guess you're gonna have to deal with it since now you're the czar of the errata team, and I don't think you're gonna change it anytime soon. I think more than anything, it's not going to change a lot of the missions that I already played. I think it's just going to make or keep certain missions off my radar for any deck I make.
So I got to call Kevin out on one thing. When the public watch list was announced, he said, if I can quote this correctly, it stinks of Killer B, and these are all the cards he hates. So all right, try to defend you insulting my integrity as the newly appointed errata czar. What stinks about that list? What stinks about Killer B? Because trust me, I got a hit list, and it's not really any of those cards. Denatra, maybe Denatra.
To clarify, what I said was this is a personal hate list. I never said your name because I didn't actually look at that list and think there's someone else that I had in mind when I looked at that list, and I don't know that they're on your team or not, and I don't want to call them out if they're not on your team. So it was not directed at you. It was actually directed at someone else. I'm not going to say who they are because I think they're all very confident or not. I thought someone else when I saw that list.
Listen, let's just make one thing clear. You're all on my team. Everybody who plays Trek is on my team, whether you like it or not. Like I call the haters, your fans, like they used to be back in the day. Just you got to deal with it. So, I think we've exhausted the great Insurrection debate. We're all here now. So, I mean, Nate, you were talking about the next set. You're worried about. You're asking me about what was it? Which it was about Tarek Noor. What were your concerns about Tarek Noor?
Oh, just how do you make Tarek Noor fun and competitive without making it just solve 2 easy missions, bunch of ruling councils? Because all their guys, I mean, kind of suck. So if you want to give them a bunch of interesting characters or personnel to play with, you can, but then you risk the possibility of going, I don't know, Krasari, a bunch of ruling councils, and some easy planet mission. Like, how do you make them fun? How do you make them fun and competitive? I guess without making them too easy.
Yeah, they've already exhausted all their characters. I mean, there's no like, unless you stretch. I think they would a Pascal. Unless you stretch the story a little bit, there's really nothing else you could do besides making new versions of old characters. And how many fucking more Rayuns or Ducats do we want to see? I don't want to see anymore. So, I mean, they already have the one. What was the one? Their last theme was removing dilemmas from the game, or milling them from the top of the dilemma pile. And then you have the dissidents who milled the top of the deck. So that's their theme. I mean, I pitched to Charlie. I see them as the counter affiliation, counters to downloading and stuff like that. So I would like to see them, more of a meta police affiliation. But that'll be in the next set. I'm not part of that set, but they have a little bit of a theme. And yeah, it was just that the ruling council was not missed the mark a little bit, and it was just too much counter. Because you get too much counter, then you get into what Kevin was talking about earlier with just slow games, and it was just So now they just need a little bit of a reboot, and they'll get that in the next set, and hopefully they clear it up.
Yep. I think you're going to see something to. Oh, go ahead.
I've seen what Tyler and the rest of his team are doing, and I don't have any major objections to what it is they're trying to do. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised that you may actually have fun. I don't know that everyone finds Tarek Noor fun and ever will find Herox Noor to be fun. So I really can't say that everyone's going to love what they're doing, but I don't have any objections to what Tyler and his team doing with Herox Noor, what they're putting forward in place.
When I first saw the original playtest file, I was actually optimistic. I like what I saw. Unlike Peak Performance, when I was talking to Nate, the first time I saw the file for Peak Performance, I think tears started streaming down my face when I saw a second Starfleet team in a year. But so I got positive. I'm positive. I'm optimistic now in design. I don't, like I said, I'm not at the church of phase 2 like Charlie is with themes, but I'm signed up, and I like, we've learned from our mistakes, and there's nothing, even if and you got different people, and me and Kevin don't agree on shit, and you got different people in design who are doing different things, and they're rotating. Everything's good in that regard. And the next set, I believe, is also Earth, Starfleet Earth. So you're gonna get a whole. Charlie will yell at me and Kevin if we spill too much, but you're gonna get something completely new for that headquarters.
Bunch of TOS movie guys.
No, we're not. Yeah, I think I was talking about that. Yeah, the Earth icon. No, we're no. Yeah, people would love that.
If you want to look for like a Rada team kind of big change, that would be maybe welcome.
What was that?
Remove the Earth icon from the TOS movie guys. That might be a welcome errata change. I don't know if you guys have talked about that or if that's already been discussed, but
I mean, yeah,
I think thematically that would be welcome.
Yeah, I said that last night on the Section 31. I said I'm on the camp that we either take them all off or we leave them all on. There's no OT Kirk. Like, we either just say that was a mistake and we just are strictly TOS now, which I'd be okay with. But I don't know. That's sort of like a public. I would have to gauge the public. I don't know. That's just. I mean, there's not really nothing wrong with the game. I don't know. That's a tough one. But yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably 70%. I'll post an informal poll on that, and I don't know. I'm okay with it. If we, that's what a player committee's for, is to carry out the will of the public.
So what was the first one? Living Legend? Was that the first? Was that the first issue with that?
No, he wasn't. No, Living Legend wasn't. No. He's okay as an Earth icon. He makes sense. He was from Generations. That's not a TOS movie, so that fits story-wise. But it's ever since the first one was Sulu. I think Sulu was the first one that was Earth icon, and then Genesis and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So, is there anything on the watch list that's not on the watch list, Kevin, that you think should be on there?
Insurrection, say it.
Insurrection.
No, what I think is that because Insurrection's not on there, so Roadblock should not be on there. But that's a debate for another day.
Well, I already told you that's just because of it just came out. There's not even. I posted today that there's some. Today we put the first batch of errata in the playtest file, and there's nothing in there for self-replicating Roblox. So you should. That's a good sign. That's a good sign for you that there's nothing even in playtesting yet. So you're not. It's not even past the first hurdle.
Speaking of you saying that, what jumped out to me is that at least one card that's on your list for playtest errata from your group here is a card that just recently was made into a promo foil. So you're already trying to do some promo people are doing, and so people like order their promo foils, and then it's going to be an obsolete card in like 4 months.
Sorry, Kevin. I don't speak Breen. I don't speak Breen. I can't help you.
I think he's talking about Covenant. Covenant was just foiled, and I think he's saying Covenant.
I don't give a fuck what was just foiled. I don't. You know, just play the foil, and everyone knows. Nate,
why is there so much Romulan hate on here?
No, it's not so much Romulan hate. It's just end of turn. End of turn is that's the first thing that's being addressed. And any effect that lasts to the end of turn is probably going to get changed to the end of mission attempt. That's just a blanket.
Yeah.
Blanket thing. And Rivalin just happened to have two end of turn. All right, Nate. Anything that's not on there that you think should be on there?
Not on here. Oh, jeez. No, I mean, I really didn't even think about this.
But yeah, that was one of the.
I don't think so. No, I think it's. I don't know if.
What are the positive things?
I think there's more on here that need to be. I think probably you could drop about 75% of the cards on here. I mean, other than maybe the end of turn stuff, but.
Well, it's called a watch. It's called a watch list. You can have a watch list. Watching doesn't necessarily, it doesn't hurt just to put something on the list. But I was surprised when that even after doing this batch, I'm like, once we fix, these are cosmetic things mostly, end of turn, and then a couple of Ikanika, Naomi Wildman are just goofy, Eddington, Little Soldier. They're just being cleaned up. So basically, 6 of these cards are just being cleaned up. And I thought after this batch goes out, there's really not much else to address. So it was a positive sign for me that there's nothing there's not like a list of things that need to be fixed. Yeah, there's things that need to be, can be debated and back and forth, stuff like this. But overall, being the errata czar is actually not that much work once we get.
Honestly, I think that we haven't really, at least I haven't been able to really get a good grip on what the top competitive meta decks are since the errata to Cleon and Borg. Like, those were the top two affiliations kind of for a long time, and they had the guidance errata, and then they had the various, or I guess the quintessence errata with Borg. So I haven't been able to really kind of get I guess you could say Romulan is one of the top decks now, but it's hard for me to tell you which affiliation is the best right now. So
that's a good thing. That's a good sign. Yeah, there's a lot. It was shocking that TOS is seeing so much play during the regional season. Kevin, hopefully we can understand you for a second. What's your pick for Continentals? Is it gonna be a Minnesota player, or let's call him a wasteland? Anybody who's up in that frozen wasteland, or is it gonna be an out of towner, someone who flies in? Who wins Continentals? A local or fly-in?
Local, based purely on the statistical chance.
So what are your odds that a fly-in wins? 3-1?
I think it's probably 5-1.
5-1? All right, I'll put a dollar right now. You gonna give me 5-1?
I'll give you 5-1.
All right, that's a bet, and that's all the internet's now. So you have to get that $5 bill ready.
Are you betting on yourself, or are you betting on your buddy Neil?
No, the bet was a fly-in. Anybody who flies in, he's giving 5-1 on a fly-in, winning Minnesota. All right, Nate, you recently just paid good green money to fly in. So what do you think about Kevin saying that none of us fly-ins have a chance?
Well, John, I did some research today because I figured we were going to talk about this. Did you know You are the 9th highest rated player of likely attendees at this event.
Are we talking about fucking ratings? Are you gonna fucking
We're
tell
talking
me with
about ratings. I'm just saying, if the ratings play out, you're not going to make the second round of the tournament.
What odds do you want to give me not making the top 8? I'm gonna win. I got $5 coming from Kevin. Who do you want to bet that I won't make the bracket? What are the odds on that?
What are the odds? That's a good question. I'd go even money with you. You want to go even money?
All right, we got a dollar bet, dollar for dollar. All right, there we go. That's good odds for me because I've only crapped out of one year at Origins, one Continentals. I've never crapped out of a Worlds. I've always made the bracket, and one Continentals. I forget what I did, but I actually picked up. I left in the middle of the game. I played Slavsky Infection when someone had Bashir Founder, and I forget what he had all the skills, and I just said it was the first mission attempt, and I was on tilt. I lost the game before, and I walked directly to the hotel bar and just started drinking, and I found Ben Haas, who was also crapping out that day. So that's probably one of the few first times me and Ben were hanging out, and we just started drinking our pain away at the hotel bar. And I remember coming back, and Keller started yelling at me for just leaving in the middle of the game. I said, I conceded the game. I shook his hand. I didn't just walk away and didn't say anything to him, but I'm like, what? I gotta. So that was the only time I ever crapped out of a Continental. So your dollar's just gone down the drain. So who do you pick to win? You're gonna get. What are the odds on yourself there, Nate?
Oh, low. Yeah, I haven't been playing too much lately, and like I said, I haven't really kind of got a good grip of what even what's really good lately since kind of those two affiliations got hit. I would say I would favor a local. I think if you're coming in from out of town, you don't want to play anything speed related or anything kind of or any kind of dilemma manipulation. I think you probably want to play a big control deck and match your control against their speed.
It's funny you should say that. I got a text today from Brian Sykes because he's not able to go because his wife probably put him on lockdown, and he asked me what I played, and he says, oh, well, that's kind of what everyone in Minnesota is going to play. Speed, 35 card, 45 card decks. You got to play something that's control. And I'm like, no, I want to have fun. I don't want to play. I'm not really that good with those decks, and I'll play with the Minnesota guys he thinks they're playing, which I don't even think. I don't think you're trying to fit in 20 to 25 players. Everyone's not playing 45 card cadet decks and all that stuff. So it's at big tournaments you get a little bit of everything, and you just got to play what your best deck is. And
yeah, I think the problem with control is if you go control versus control, then a lot of times, at least in my experience, you run up against the clock quite a bit, and so then you have that kind of added unknown element. But in a situation where you have a lot of solvers out there, control is pretty good because you can still, people aren't really prepared for it, and also, you're not going to be worried about the time as much.
Speaking of my terrible Continental story, that would happen. The one tournament I crapped out is because I made the fatal mistake of changing my deck the day before. As just from 10 years of experience, you should anytime you go to a big event, you should already have your 2 decks 3 months ahead of time already set. Yeah, you're going to make minor changes here and there, but 2 to 3 months ahead of time, you should know exactly what 2 decks you're going to take to the big tournament. What deck you're going. Basically, if it's a 2-day event, this one's not, but usually there were 2-day events, so you have to have your A deck.
It's not the same deck, right? It's 2 different decks you can play between the.
No. You didn't read the memo before you bought your plane ticket. It's got to be the same deck.
It's the same deck.
Yeah, it's a 1-day event. You can't have people changing deck, and that makes it more fun. That's actually not a terrible format. I don't think. I prefer a 2-day event for a Continental, but if basically in this format you might be able to play the same deck against the same deck 3 times. Play it once in the Swiss, and then once in the double Australian, the Dingo Ate Your Baby bracket. So
you could pull the Timmins versus Van Bremen last year. Isn't that what he did? He played like.
Yeah, you might have to play him 3 times. I had to play.
He won like 5 games, and 3 of them were against Van Bremen or something like that to like get second in the Continentals.
Yeah, that was a shitty
format.
Talked
about how he made some awesome deck.
Yeah, it was, and it was. Yeah, it wasn't a good. I didn't enjoy it. I had to play. I think I played Phil twice. I might have played Neil twice too. Yeah, it was not desirable. And this is the same format, I think. So I mean, I don't know why we just don't do it. It's a 2-day event, but you're trying to pack in. That's what happens when you try to sprint, and they're trying to do. They make the mistake of trying to fit in all 3 games, so everyone can play all 3 games, and all
right.
You just can't. It doesn't work. It always ends up you always end up getting fucked out of something, and I don't care about fucking triples Sunday afternoon. I don't give a shit about that. So, what are you gonna do?
When are they playing 1E then? They're playing 1E on Sunday?
1E Friday night's 1E Continentals, and then a 2E team tournament.
Okay.
And then Sundays, Academy or something. I'll probably just be hungover. And
okay. Yeah, well, I get it Saturday morning, so I guess I'm out of the running for a 1E Continentals championship.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap the show up, and I'm going to remind you guys to bring in your $6. I'm going to be up $6. I paid for a beer already. I appreciate that. Thanks to my guests.
Beers are cheap up there, man. You can probably get 2 beers for that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yes.
Here's the thing, though. If you're going to do this, then you have to buy local. Then you have to go with Shells or something like that. Then you got to try something local.
Oh, I'll be happy to. I've had local Texas beer is not good. I have not had a good local Texas beer yet, but I'm sure I talk a lot of shit about Minnesota, but I'm confident you fuckers know your beer up there. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna wrap up the show. I'm gonna thank my guest, Kevin Jaeger, even though we only understood 50% of what he was saying. Thanks for coming on, Kevin. That's all right. It's all right. We'll get you. Everyone should just buy a Chromebook if they plan on being on this show. It costs like $180.
Before we go, are you guys friends now? Did you guys just become best friends?
Well, let's take it easy. I don't.
Well, here's the thing, Nate. I can only have one mortal enemy at one time with 2 lesser enemies, and TK's my now mortal enemy, and you and John are my 2 lesser enemies.
What?
So,
oh man!
And it is true. I've evolved too. Once I'm done with Minnesota, I've decided I'm going to direct all my hatred towards the West Coast. I decided I don't like anything the West Coast is doing. Charlie's going to Hollywood. He's Hollywood Charlie playing now. TK snitched on him. TK told me all the shit he talked when he moved out there. I guess to get in with the cool kids. He talks shit about his old buddies back east. So I don't know, man. Once I'm done with Minnesota, I'm directing all the hatred towards the West Coast.
Well, we can have a couple beers on Saturday night, and we'll either love each other or hate each other afterwards. How about that?
Oh, I've never had a problem at a bar. There's many Minnesota guys who are just like after the game. Oh, you know what? You're okay. Come on, I'll buy you a beer. And I'm just like, all right. All right. So Nate, thanks for coming on, and I won't post your name so your resume doesn't get fucked up. People knowing that you're a closet nerd. You gotta come out of the closet, man. If someone saw this on the internet, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, I can't hire that guy. He plays games in his free time." I don't think you'll be all right.
God, that was sent to you in confidence.
No, you're not the first guy to do that. I mean, I would have to post stuff like, in the blog and stuff. I would just put people's names because all my DC buddies are all white collar executive guys. They don't, all that horse shit. All right, well, this is we're on break next month. We'll be back on in July. So, like Greasy Ducat, I'm going to kick you out of the discard pile. Good night.